All right, you guys, good morning and welcome to our virtual Bible study. So this is our second week into the new groups, if you guys are in the new groups of doing this book. And so it really doesn't matter what page you were on, we just share. And I'm actually on a completely different chapter on the Audible as I am in the book. So I'm gonna probably share a lot today. And I also want to give you guys an update on my fasting experience that I will never do again. Just keeping it real. So, hey, Miss Ashley. So I wanted to share just off memory. I was listening to chapter 12 and 13 this week in the Audible on Lies Women Believe. And I'm obviously not going to share it as good as I was when I was listening to it, but I wanted to share something that really kind of got my head storing about how we go through life, and we are legit constantly just grumble. Like she talked about, when it's our time of the month, right? And we're hormonal, how we just justify it that we're, our cycle's coming. Right? Or we just justify, the way that we act or the things we do because, well, the kids did this, or I had this happen at work. And it really got me thinking about, I think I justify every month. I'm all, well, babe, it's the week of my period, so just bear with me, okay? I know we're getting super personal here. But I wrote this and say, it's easy to turn Netflix on, a hobby, shopping, or scrolling through social media, instead of turning to God. And she really talked about how we fill our days with just, this grumbling or our circumstances or alcohol or Netflix or shopping, whatever it is that you do. Maybe you get stuck on the scroll on social media. I don't know what it is, right? But we all have something that I get stuck in, like Hallmark and Lifetime. Like that's kind of my jam. It's just what I do. And I'm like, I love them, especially this time of year. And God really wants you to turn to Him through the times that you're going through. So when I just kind of made me really think about the gut check of listening to my inner voice as I'm going through these monthly time frames and I'm just sinning and grumbling and just, constantly saying, oh, well, it's this week or this happened. And then our circumstances just spiral. So I wanted to give one of the ladies in the group today, it was so awesome, an example of what to do. And I love what she shared. She literally shared, I love this. She goes, I'm up 3 pounds. I have more energy. I'm being consistent. I know why I'm up 3 pounds because of this and that, right? The circumstances in her life. She goes, but I still showed up and it feels great. And I thought, how wonderful we can just turn that circumstances, whatever it might be. So it really got me thinking about how we just justify certain times of the month. Or justify, oh, well, it's Monday. Sometimes you guys hear that. It's like, I love Mondays, right? Because the kids go back to school. Just kidding. But like we all have these moments. And in that moment, we could honestly be turning to God and handing over the way we feel to Him. And so just I wanted you guys to kind of think about this week. It really kind of got me thinking about all the things I do. I'm like, oh. I'm like even this morning, I'm all, oh, babe, it's the week before my period. It's like, and I heard it this morning and I was like, okay, God, He was literally speaking to me. So I wanted to share that. And then I wanted to read in the book something a little bit lengthy, but something that I think every single one of you guys need to hear. And I think it's so easy to get wrapped up in how busy we are and what's going on in our circumstances, a new job, a bad relationships, kids not getting along, the busyness of life. And I feel like we just ultimately in those moments are when we should turn to God. And I know I'm getting better about this as I walk with my journey with Him. Like in the past, I would totally forget. Now I'm like, okay, gosh, hand this over. Like yesterday, I literally went to bed with a migraine and like I still have a hangover today. I have a horrible headache still. And my husband kept getting me ice packs. So yeah, again, I'll talk more about my thing I did. But, and I just constantly just prayed through it, right? And normally I just be like, oh my gosh, right? So in every moment, so I want to kind of read this to you guys on page 112, second paragraph down. Again, it's a little bit lengthy, but I want to read this to you guys. Women who subconsciously believe they are supposed to be able to do it all flawlessly to meet everyone's demand and expectations are likely to end up exhausted and overwhelmed by the demands of their time. The truth is, no women can wear all those hats effectively. Sooner or later, something or someone is going to suffer. Before I go forward, I want to just share something. So I was talking to one of the ladies in our group, and she was feeling very, it's on page 118, paragraph 2. She was talking about how overwhelmed she was with life, with kids, with the demands of wanting to make more money and stuff. And I told her this. She had said, I need a 10-day vacation. And immediately I thought, well, what if you took an afternoon? Or what if you took 2 hours to just spend that time with God, or get your toes done? Or, I think ultimately, you guys, I'll be honest with you, I found myself getting caught up in this as well. I haven't had a vacation in forever. And so when I went to Denver this last week, I was like, I have to unplug. I have to just enjoy my family and soak it up. And even though it wasn't a 10-day vacation, for 48 hours, I was able to just do that, right? And build those memories. And so I think often we look for, well, I need to book a trip to the Bahamas, right? Or whatever it might be, when maybe it could be an afternoon, maybe it could be 2 hours, maybe it could be an hour of just time alone with him. Maybe it could be going for a walk and just feeding your soul within that moment, unplugging from whatever's making you feel that way. So I wanted to kind of share that I think that sometimes our eyes are closed to what it is that we could do to feed our soul and make it feel better. And you will see me like on social media for like 2 days, like I'll be like gone. And I'm still sharing stories, but I have got to just, it's a job, but I've got to have a clock in, clock out moment. Otherwise, because I love it so much, I will be on here 24/7, right? And that's why you'll see me in the challenge groups, where you'll see me in the morning, and then a lot of times you don't see me to the next day because I have to schedule. Otherwise, I'd be on all the time, right? Sometimes we go on vacation and end up more exhausted. Yeah. So just find those moments, like own what it is, and stop trying to do everything, and stop waiting for the perfect moment to do that. My husband and I will sometimes just make a date just to sit on the patio, or just a date to, watch an adult show, in bed and just chill. And that moment refills me within that, but also make sure that you turn to God in those moments. It says on the 3rd paragraph, it says frustration is the byproduct of attempting to fulfill responsibilities God does not intend for us to carry. Freedom, joy, and fruitfulness comes from seeking to determine God's priorities for each season of our life, and then setting out to fulfill those priorities in the power of His Spirit, realizing that He has provided the necessary time and ability to do everything He has called us to do. The following statement, I do want to read a little bit of this. It says, the following statement illustrates how lies we believe about priorities and time put us in boundaries, and how to trust as the power to set us free. And she says in the red writing down here at the bottom of 118, says, I have not been meeting my responsibilities adequately. I have experienced a desperate, hopeless feeling because my home is always messy. And I wanted to read this because I know you guys can relate to this. And my children are behaving poorly. Once I realized that I have enough time to do what God has given me to do, I had to admit that I was tempted to do things He has not assigned me to do, like watching Netflix, like maybe pouring that extra glass of wine, like maybe not, spending that alone time with Him 15 minutes in the morning, right? I'm starting the process of removing things from my life as I discover what doesn't belong, and fulfilling things I can delegate. I am also learning to communicate with my husband so he can release me from things he doesn't care about, and be clear about what he does care about. This is not always easy process, but I have simplified a few things so far, and I hope to gain momentum as I could continue until my life is under control and I'm free to do what God has given me. The last paragraph I want to read, it says, after I finally burned out, my pastor was able to help me see that I do not have to do everything. Only the things the Father gave me to do. I can continue to do some activities, but only those I know are what God wants me to do. I have learned to say no when I know it is not something God is calling me to do. God sent me free from the bondage of busyness to allow me to trust, be his servant. So I think we honestly fill our lives full of so many things, you guys. We make excuses. So I want to share a couple things that I've done that have honestly freed my soul of just being able to have more quiet time, being able to have that release where, whether it being a date or it being that one-on-one time with God. So first of all, not hitting snooze. Okay. How many of you guys are like totally, I mean, over the summer hours, I know that I totally did. The other thing is, I want to share with you guys, like these are just some little things. I hired a cleaning lady to be able to clean my house every other week. That just allows me to have more quality time with the family, more quality time, no excuses, and free myself in those areas. Yesterday, I took Thor to the groomer for the first time ever. He's never been to the groomer, like ever. And I chose to do that to save on time so that I could get the things done that I wanted to, and that I didn't make excuses for all the things that God wanted me to do. And I know I'm a work in progress, right? I delegate things to my children that I never used to do, and I let them know that they're a part of the family, that it's not something that's a chore. This is what's expected, so that we're more of a team players. I know some people think I'm crazy, but like my kids do all of their own laundry. They clean their own rooms. They do the dishes. I cook. They vacuum. They do the dog run, the litter box, all those things, so that way I'm able to run a smoother household. Does it always go that way? No. But I want to say, I know a lot of you guys, we're in this season of, the kids just started school for some of you guys, and you're running from one event to the next. And I encourage you to look at what things you could possibly give up in your life or delegate so that you could have more time with him, so that you could wake up and have your quiet time. And I know I've shared this before on studies before, but I remember making excuses when I first started doing Bible studies years ago of, I'm waking up too late. I don't have the time to do it. And I went to bed that night and I prayed to God and I said, Lord, wake me up tomorrow morning so that I have time to have quiet time with you. And you guys, I would wake up, now this is back in the day, this is when I first became a coach, or right before I did. I would wake up at 6:37. He woke me up at 5 a.m. And now that's like the middle of the night for somebody that wasn't waking up at 5 a.m. And I have to share, you guys, I was wide awake. Like wide awake. He had me wide awake so I could have that time with him before the hustle and bustle and the kids and all the demands of what we are subjected, in our families. And it was that moment of, I have a choice. And maybe I just need to turn to God and say, Lord, will you help me in this season? Because I really want to make sure and have this one-on-one time with you. So I wanted to share that, like all things in your life will fall unless you put him first. They all will. And so if you feel like you're running circles around yourself, look at the things you could possibly let go. Look at the things that you could delegate. I know I'm delegating more things than I used to as, life progresses, just so I can have that quality time that I have with my family and with the Lord. So I wanted to share that, as I just think that people forget. And I think as moms, we do everything. She talked about in chapter 12, how we make idols of our children. And it kind of was funny. Like, I know I've shared before, like I made an idol of my husband very early on in our marriage. And I was like, oh my God, he's like he walks on water, like all those things. And I thought about how she talks about anything that we think more about than God, we are making an idol of. Let me repeat that. Anything that we are thinking more of instead of God, we are actually making an idol of it. So she used examples of, maybe you're trying to be the perfect mom. Maybe you're trying to be the perfect coach. Maybe you're trying to have the perfect home, but yet you make excuses why you can't have that one-on-one time with him. And then everything else is spiraling out of control. So it really made me kind of think about, I wanted to be a mom so bad that when I first became a mom, it was like, oh my gosh, I had to like fold the laundry like perfect, and I couldn't go to bed unless all the clothes in the hamper were done and it was full. I mean, what? But yet I didn't have time for God, right? So I wanted to kind of share that, look at maybe some things that you are letting it consume your life, that you're constantly thinking about, and you're using that as an idol over God. So I wanted to see if anybody wanted to share. That was like kind of 3 things I wanted to kind of talk about. I do have a little bit of a headache, so I can, at the end, I want to talk a little bit about my fasting experience with you guys and just kind of share. I will always tell the truth. Not everything is for everybody, and that's okay, but I'm glad that I went through it. So, Donna, do you have anything you want to share?
So me and Rhonda were talking about the fact that I went and saw the movie Overcomer, and it was about what defines you. Hi, Ashley. And so in the movie Overcomer, probably about 3/4 of the way in, she has the young lady. She says, "I want you to go, and I want you to read Ephesians 1 and Ephesians 2." And she goes, "I want you to write down all the I am statements of who you are." And so so immediately, I mean, you actually see on the movie all the I am statements. So then she ends up like speaking them all out. And so it's like I wrote out all the I am statements that I found. So everybody will find different I am statements in there. And then I also said what I have, not who besides what I am, I also put what I have. Like I have grace, I have peace, I have hope, I have faith. Like as you go through there, you're going to see things. So powerful to do that. And then I was thinking, Rhonda, when you were talking, that this whole entire year, like I keep thinking about everybody has a story and stopping for the one. And so when I went with Annie Downs, they talked about the story, what well are you stopping at? So when people are exhausted all the time, it's like, what well are they stopping at to get refilled? Why are they so depleted? Because Jesus knows what well you need. Because remember, he was waiting for the Samaritan woman at the well. He sent his disciples away. He was exhausted because they had just traveled, and they went to go get food. He knew that he wasn't going to need them to actually get physical food, because he was going to offer her spiritual food. So it's in John 4. So that's another thing, a good thing. So always remember, everybody has a story. And what well are you reaching for? Some people reach for alcohol. Some people reach for drugs. Some people reach for sleep. Some people reach for food. There's all kinds of things that you reach for. But he wants you to know that he knows your story. And Jesus is actually waiting at the well to tell you your story. Because remember, the Samaritan woman had 5 husbands. And he said, go get your husband. And she said, I don't have a husband. He goes, that's right. You're right. The one you're with is not your husband. You've had 5 husbands. So he knows the backstory. But we have to like own our story, and we have to recognize the fact that people in our lives are not in the same situation. So we have to have grace for people and compassion. So anyways, that's it.
Yeah, I love that. That reminds me of me kind of talking about the idolizing. You know, it's like, what are you idolizing right now? So, and we don't know what's going on in other people's lives. So I have to share something that happened yesterday. And I was at the grocery store for Taco Tuesday. I'm going getting all the groceries, and I'm at the checkout. And this lady that's always the checkout lady, she's a Christian, and she is always super sweet. And she was very negative, like super, super negative. Like I was like, you know, hey, how's your day? She goes, well, it could be better if I could get out of here, or something like that. And I was like, oh, it like totally took me back. And I was like, well, you know, at least it's you know, 112, because it was 112 here yesterday. At least this might be the last time that we see that heat, you know, so you're better off, you know, in here, kind of thing, kind of telling her, because it's cooler in the store. And she was really cynical about the situation, or just really grumpy about it. And I normally, the old Rhonda would have been like, God, you know, what a witch with a bee, right? Like I would have been like totally like, she was super, super like not happy. And I normally would have taken it personal. So what I did is immediately in that moment, I'm not even kidding you, God was like, pray for her. I don't want to ask her what's going on. Obviously it's not my place to ask, but the entire way to the car, I just prayed for her. And I said, you know, Lord, whatever is on her heart, please help her in this moment. Please let her know that she's loved. Let her know that, you know, that you are there for her. And I literally I just kind of felt on my heart. When normally, you know, we see people driving and they're like really nasty and they cut you off or they shut the door. in those moments, take it as a moment to pray for that person. I think it's so easy to judge and just sit there and go, oh, well, that was just rude. We don't know what's going on in their lives. And it was just, it was a really cool moment where I really felt God, and I felt like I needed to be that strong, hold for her right now. She honestly looked pretty bad. So, so Donna, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that that is so important just to remember too. Does anybody else want to share anything? Donna says, I like the Facebook that it says we are storytellers. Yes, everyone is a story. And I'm excited for that book in September, The Storytellers, to come out. And it's funny, I work with so many coaches and women that say that they don't have a story. And I'm thinking, you have a story when you woke up this morning. We have a story every single moment to share. And realistically, we either choose to let that story inspire others, or we choose fear to get in the way. And so I think often, the reason why we aren't storytellers and we don't share the truth is we let the devil get in there and give us that fear. Be a storyteller for him. I think that that's the most important thing is a lot of women will share they're scared to, talk about God for judgment, right? And I always think, well, the best way to do it is talk about how he's impacting your life. And I think that that's the moment that we need to look at is don't be scared to share his word or to share his love or how much grace he's given you or he's helping you and you're turning this moment, but use that as a moment to here's how he's moving in my life, right? Versus a you should go there, kind of thing. So I know for me, that's always been really, really helpful. Does anybody else want to share anything? No? Ashley, let me get you. Let me unmute you. You are such a rock star. They're driving. I love it. Share.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I actually wanted to share something. I'm going to have to click off the screen to read it on another one.
Okay.
But just in one of my self-development books that I was listening to this week, I had a cool little thing that came up, and she basically was just talking about how we all kind of struggle from time to time and figuring out what our purpose is. And what's been really cool on this journey for me is how many people don't really understand what their purpose is or know. And we're always kind of on a path to figure that out and strengthen it. But most people are resistant to feeling that way. They have that thought and that feeling, and they're trying to go, why do I not feel fulfilled in life? And obviously, as a Christian, my first thought always is, do you have this side and this connection, right? Are you filling yourself with what God wants you to fill yourself with, as well as are you seeking, what that might be? And it becomes kind of a crazy space, I think, for people. They're scared of those feelings, and when you're uncomfortable, it's such an opportunity to grow, and it's pretty mind-blowing when you are growing, like we are in this business with God and, just with our personal self, to then really be aware at a different level, like our senses are heightened because we're focusing in, spending so much time doing the work that, wow, how many people struggle, and I've just had an opportunity to look at this year. So we don't necessarily know exactly what we're doing here on the planet. We don't know exactly what it looks like after we're here, and what all our life will entail. She said, so her motto is, I'm just going to see how much I can get away with. It takes all the pressure off, puts the punk rock attitude in, and reminds us that life is but a game. So anyway, I just thought that was a cool thing to share, just kind of alleviating the pressure and the stress, and realizing that there's just so much intent behind all of those feelings that kind of make you feel uncomfortable as you continue to grow. So anyway, I just thought that was cool, and I wanted to share it.
And I always think like that uncomfortable for me, as long as it's based off my values and who I am, that kind of thing. it's always like a run, just do it. And a lot of people will ask me, how do you share, just little things, on social media or whatever. And I'm like, I just think about, can I inspire or change somebody's life by just sharing this one thing, and is it, it's not always easy to share, the broken parts, but it's always great to share on the other side. Here's how I overcame it. Right? Like, so I love that, Ashley. So I wanted to share, I want to read a little bit. Donna shared, says, you're overcoming by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. Your story changes, not the blood, which stands forever. There's so much comfort in that. You know what I mean? So much comfort in that, Donna. So I wanted to share, I did fasting for 48 hours. Now, it's so funny. Some people were like, well, you're not technically doing fasting because you're not just drinking water. If you actually look it up, fasting can be coffee as well. Like, it can be liquids. There's different types of fastings, right? And honestly, to be honest with you guys, the reason I chose to do it is because about 3 years ago, I saw tons of people doing it and I thought, they're crazy. They're insane. Like, they're insane. And then over time, I was like, man, if I'm ever put in a situation where I just feel, like the fog in my head, or I just feel a certain way, I might try it and see what happens. And so I came back from my dad's birthday party and I just thoroughly had a large party with cake. Like, to the point of my brother and sister-in-law were laughing. They were like, oh, do you want some more? Here's another plate. Like, I was so bad that I came back and I was only up a pound. Was nothing crazy. I didn't do it for weight loss in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I didn't even lose a pound, which is fine. But I really did it for inflammation. I felt so inflamed by just the travel, the not drinking enough water, the alcohol, the cake, that kind of thing. And so I thought, well, I'm going to just do it. I'm up for the challenge. I want to see what it's all about. And I did 2 shakes a day and lots and lots of water, right? It's not for me. It is not for me. I will never do it again. The first day was okay. And I know some people said that 3 days is really where the magic happens. And I'll be honest with you, I think that I'm going to share a lot more on social media about this, but I think it's really great to know if you see something on social media and you try it and it doesn't work, it's okay. It is absolutely okay if it doesn't work. And I actually was kind of like, okay, I tried it. It's not for me. I don't think that all the things out there are for everybody. I really struggled with, it's funny, it's really, really weird. I wasn't hungry at all. I wasn't. It was actually really strange. I did a lot of praying through it. I did feel personally a little bit of anxiety, and so I did hand that over. I constantly was praying about it. Yesterday afternoon, the migraine set it in. And it just didn't go away and it got worse. And I'm still really struggling with that today. So I actually, for me, it was a great experience to go through. I know that it's not for me. I will never do it again. But I know many of you guys were asking how it went. I do think that our Get Back on Track system works a million times better. Now, I do have a lot less inflammation and I feel like my body feels better. My head, honestly, is still pounding with a headache. So it's kind of like, and I am very, and I don't know if this is something to take into account, but I am very headache prone. So I used to, as a child, have migraines really bad. And so I don't know if that plays a factor. I took the fact that I had a migraine into the aspect, I couldn't even see last night, that it was just the sugar detox. But I don't know. I just think that it may not be for everybody either. But our Get Back on Track system, where we do 2 shakes a day, we do the veggies, we do the light protein, we do the good fat, that has always been a game changer for me. If I ever want to do something like that again and just get back on track, I'll do the 3-day refresh as well. So I just want to kind of share, a lot of you guys are asking, and it's awesome if it works for some of you guys. For me, it's just, but again, I think it's just proof that, just because one person says that it's great doesn't mean it's going to be great for everybody. Just like because I say, eat this, do that, that doesn't mean that's going to work for every person. In fact, if you have adrenal fatigue from completely screwing up your metabolism, the worst thing to eat is asparagus. But yet, that's on the shred plan. So I think it's just kind of being aware of what works and what doesn't. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys, as I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad that's over. And I plan on going 3 days, but there's just no way. it kind of started affecting, I've really tried to learn on personal development and listen to my books and my Bible study, but I really just felt like it was just, I lost 2 days of my life. So again, I won't be doing it anymore. So Donna says, depending upon if it is a spiritual fasting, yes or not. The book of Daniel talks a lot about fasting. Absolutely. And I have so many friends that did that fasting. So when I did the Daniel Beth Moore study, so many of the women did it. And I did not, but I watched them kind of go through it. The Lord leads you to fast, you will have major spiritual breakthroughs. See, and I don't think the Lord led me. It was Rhonda just saying, you know what, my head is just not feeling good right now. Let's just try this. I've always wanted to do it. Let's see what happens. Instead of food, read the word. I love that. 3 days, 21 days. I know so many women were messaging me. They're like, oh yeah, I did for two weeks straight per month. And I was like, wow. So it was pretty awesome. So I just wanted to kind of share that with you guys and just give you, the insight. For me, one of the things I read up a lot on fasting is to, as you reintroduce foods, to make sure that you're adding the lighter foods, that you're not adding the heavier foods. It will screw up your system. So definitely, I'm going to go today and I'm going to get salmon. And I'm going to cut it up and we're going to do some on the grill. I'll have some asparagus with it. I'm going to do my lunch with my carbs and my good fat. So I'm going to go to the store and get all of that kind of stuff. So Donna says, I have done 2 40-day fasts. Holy cow, really? Oh my gosh. And I will say, I feel like my body feels better. My mind doesn't. But again, maybe Donna, it was more of me just doing it to kind of kick the sugar and not so much doing it to do a walk with the Lord. So maybe that was just kind of the difference for sure. They were completely spiritual. See, yeah. So I think that could be, so maybe heck, I'm not going to say never, maybe do one in a spiritual way down the road. So, so I wanted to share with you guys, one last thing, and then have you guys share anything if you want, is as you go through this process, we're going into the second week of this brand new group, and for the maintenance group, you're also going to the second week. And I think as you go through this, and I really talked a lot about being busy today and just letting something go, looking at the areas in your life where you recognize, so for me, I guess the word I use is grumbling. Look for the word, because grumbling is a sin. You look it up in the Bible. Looking for the areas like today when I listened to chapter 12 and she talked about how we make the excuses about that time of the month for being crabby. It really kind of made me think about, wow, now I'm going to look at that so differently. And I'm going to hand those moments over to him instead of me just going, oh, well, it's just this moment, or oh, I'm just at work, or oh, this just happened. And to really let him within those moments and be a teachable moment with God instead of it being, oh, well, it's just that time, right? So anybody else want to share anything? Anybody? And so that's kind of just I can give nutrition tips. Anybody has any food tips or program questions or any of that kind of thing. So the rest of this week, other than tomorrow, so I'm kind of planning my whole week around this. So tomorrow, so it's my husband's football game this weekend. So I'm kind of preparing my whole week around this. This is one thing that I do to stay on the shred plan is, so I will for the next 3 days really zone into doing the shrimp, doing the salmon, doing that kind of stuff, because I know that we'll have some football parties and we'll do some things like that. But I'm going to be more conscious of what I'm letting in my body after doing this fasting, but also knowing that I've got these events at the end of the week. So be conscious of your week, where you're at, plan each day, know what you're having for dinner right now. And I know I shared in a post in the group today, like honestly, there was a couple videos I shared you guys have got to watch about just your mindset and how to keep it simple, but don't skip the protein, don't skip the good fat, don't skip the veggies. I shared a picture today and a couple of you guys have asked me about the frozen cauliflower, how it is in the shake. So I love it. And for me, I think it's such a great way to start my day by getting all the veggies in. I know for me, getting in, 3-4 cups a day of veggies is always challenging. And so I can get 3 in. It's like getting that extra in. So I have found adding the frozen cauliflower is so good in my shake, and it's such a great option. So if you guys haven't tried it, I totally encourage you to try it. So why don't we end in prayer? And then what I would love to do though, is I'm going to upload the recording, and I would love for all of you guys to read Ephesians 1-2 and write the I am statement of who you are. So like Donna was saying, read those 2 scriptures and share. And I think it's awesome. So my girls got to see the movie this weekend, and so I'm going to take them to go see it too. I'm really, really excited. But let's all do that together. Let's do the I am and how powerful that can be through his word, sharing that from Ephesians 1 and 2. And so we can write that in the comment area of the recording, okay? And I'll kind of share some information on it. All right, you guys ready? And then I will keep praying on my little headache to go away. Let's go ahead and end in prayer. Here we go. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this amazing platform that every single day that we can just lean on you in all these moments. I know we're all running around and we've got this to-do list per se. And Lord, I just pray that this week, that to-do list, that you will just come into each person and just say, am I on that to-do list? And have them put you at the top of that list, Lord, so that they can walk with you throughout the day, not just in those moments. Lord, I honestly am just so grateful for every one of these women. I am so grateful for our struggles as it brings us closer to you. Lord, I pray that we will notice those moments throughout our day that we're grumbling and we're just, making excuses for the moment in life, that we will start to recognize and change our tongues and change our heart to be more like you in those moments. In your precious name, amen. I'm excited to do that because this is my week. So I will be like, oh no, Lord, take that from me. It is not PMS. Take it from me. So it's kind of funny, right? It really is so great as we walk with the Lord more and more, how we see him in more simple areas of our life. And that's how you build the relationship, is just having him in those little moments, so that way he is there and present in those large moments. So you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for being on, everybody. Bye.